Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Marcus and today in this video I'm going to share with you how to design this poster using Adobe Photoshop. So let's go. We are going to design this poster entirely in Photoshop, but we're going to build and add this cube element in Adobe Illustrator because we're going to use the new 3D tools they have there, which are really cool. I really like this watery texture that we can find in the materials there, so yeah, let's start. I'm going to just get my tabs back really quick. Cool, so just gonna close these tabs here. I have a few things open here, so sorry for that. I'm gonna start creating a document. I'm gonna name it poster MASD. And I'm gonna use 1700 by 2400 pixels in RGB mode and just press OK. So let's start. The first thing we want to do is get our type tool. Let's just get a select type tool. And on my case, I'm going to use a 4-letter word, which is my name of my YouTube channel name. I'm just going to delete that layer actually. Again, let's try again. For some reason, it's creating this really long tab there. Just going to use M. I'm going to change the letter colors really quick so I can see them. M. And then I'm going to just scale this up actually. Command T or Control T to scale it up. I really want a really nice size for this poster. And then I'm going to just select this layer, and then if you press Control or Command J, you can just duplicate the layer. And then I'm going to write the next letter, A. I'm going to write the letters first, and then again Command or Control J to duplicate the layer, S. Move it around, and do it again, Command J. D. MASD. So I never explained this, but MASD stands for Marcus Antonio Silva Dias, which is my full name. So yeah, that's where this comes from. And then the lab thing on my channel is because I don't know, I think I felt like it was an experiment, and you do experiments in labs. So that's the story. So we have these letters, let's make a nice composition with them really quick. Just gonna drive them like this. I've been doing a lot of typography posters lately, and I've just been having fun just like not following any rules, the anti-design poster. I'm gonna just distribute them really nicely, MASD, like this. Try to make a really nice composition, like just play around. Try to make it like balanced, even though the letters are a little bit like, you know, rotating and doing these different movements, but I don't know, I think there's so much potential with typography, just typography and positions. So I love the new Photoshop updates, but this tab here actually I didn't mind going to the top, so I don't know if I like this floating tab, so I'm just gonna hide it. Cool, and perfect, and then nice. So now let's just go. Why can't I see my full Photoshop interface? Now let's go back into the adjustments layers, and let's make a solid color for the background. I'm going to leave it as like a dark gray, not full black. A little bit darker. Then I'm going to move this layer down so we can see the letters. I should have just made the background first, but I was excited to do the typography. Now I need to change the type again to white, which is okay. I hope you don't mind doing this. Let's change this all to white, really nicely, and this one as well. Perfect. So we have our typography composition, all good. Let's just align this. Well, I'm doing this very like roughly because I just do it for the tutorial, but if you want to get some guides to help you with this, you can always go to View and then Guides. And then if you make like a new guide layout, you can actually decide like how many columns you want, even like the margins, which is cool. Like if you want 100 pixel margin everywhere, just to make sure you have your design well structured. Maybe increase the columns to 3 as well in the rows. So this way you can actually go more detailed and be sure things are well spaced out from the corners as well. This is like if you are a perfectionist and you really want to, you know, be sure that you did your best. I've not been very perfectionist in these tutorials because I just want to make them fast. But sometimes when I finish, I feel like I'm actually not sure about the structure wise. The techniques are there, but design wise, I think I could do better. But it's always a fight with the timing and how long I want to make these tutorials. But I think sometimes it's okay just to make a little bit of structure, even though I can show you where to make custom guides in Photoshop, which is cool. So our typography composition is done. The next thing we're going to do is like this really like, we try to blend, creating like a shadow to blend the letters with the background. So let's make a new layer and then get our brush tool. Brush tool, nice. I already have this set up, but I am using the soft round pressure size and a very big scale, like 1000. And I'm gonna make sure I'm using the right color from the background so it blends nicely. And then I'm just going to I'm using a Wacom pen, so if you don't have one, it's probably going to be hard to do with the mouse. But it's possible, just need to brush it a little bit over, creating like this really nice shading effect there. And to keep, you can do it again, like create a new layer and do the same thing for array, but just for the sake of reusing stuff, I'm going to just duplicate this layer and then drag it over the letter A, and then just going to move it around here. It's also nice so you could like some consistency because it's really hard to make the same exact pressure twice. So we're gonna move this there, duplicate the layer again, move it over the letter S, and then duplicate it again, move it over letter D, MAST. Perfect. This creates a really nice fading effect, like if there is like some sort of mist in the air of the background or something. And yeah, this is pretty much it. I'm gonna leave it as it is. So now I'm gonna jump into Illustrator. Let's just go here. I already have one set up, but I'm gonna make a new document to show you how to do it. The document size in Illustrator doesn't really matter because we're just going to create an element here. So I'm gonna just use 1000 by 1000, and I'm just gonna close this here. I should have closed all my tabs though. I'm just feeling like, oh, I've been very lazy today in this tutorial. It's because it's Sunday right now and I just went for a nice walk in Angel with my girlfriend. Not my girlfriend, my fiance. We're gonna get married. And I just felt like, oh, I just need to record a tutorial for tomorrow. So yeah, please excuse me not having all my tabs closed. Anyway, back to the element. So I'm going to make a square. With using the rectangle tool, make a really nice square here. You can see the square size here. Maybe I want to make it around 250 by 250. And then we're going to remove the stroke. It's always tricky with strokes in 3D. Then go into Effects, 3D and Materials, Extrude and Bevel. And here I'm going to use the same value, 250. So it's exactly the right size. Just going to move it to the side here. Just going to find a nice perspective for this really quickly. It's always hard. I love the Illustrator of this tool. It's really interesting, but if you do 3D in Cinema 4D, it's just like, it's not the same thing. This is very useful for some things, I believe, like creating little elements, but it's so far away from what it could be and should be. Anyway, we have an object in a nice perspective. Just double check the perspective here, not sure. Yeah, something like this would be alright. Then we go to Materials, the Materials tab here. And let's choose Ominous. I wish I could see the entire name. Ominous something. Ominous Obsidian. Nice. So here, then we have the materials properties. You can play with this on your own time. I'm not gonna show you because it's very obvious. Like repeats the texture. Roughness makes the texture more rough or less rough, right? And then the size of the texture, if you want very like, I think it's very interesting. You can just play with this, see if you get a result that you like. Then the age, it must be like the number of how old this obsidian is, and then the position, crack intensity. I'm not gonna do much here. Just go then to lighting, not lightening. Just move around some. I really want to get these nice speculars happening there, those nice shiny parts. And if you want to add another light, just click here on the plus sign and just add another light just to get some shiny parts there. I really like this liquidy effect that he has there. And also in the light you can change the color of the light and the intensity of the lights, which is really cool. We don't need to spend too much time here because we're going to use effects, color correction effects in Photoshop, like curves, so do the best you can in Illustrator and then just click on this little button here to make the render. To retrace the render, then just select it, command go to copy, edit copy, or Ctrl C, and just paste it here as a smart object. It's gonna take a little bit because it needs to render again, and then we'll have this right here. Cool. So we have our shape layer here. Just gonna move it in front of the letter M. Actually, it's already in front of the letter M, so you just can move it around. Command T to get the transform tools active. And then you can just move this around here. Make sure it doesn't really like go so over that you actually lose the definition of the letter. But definitely will play with this. Maybe have a little bit smaller. Something like that. Well, it doesn't need to be exactly the same, right? And then just make another one, a new copy. I'll use Ctrl or Command J to make a new copy. Move it around. Gonna scale this one a little bit more. So it's gonna be between the letter A and the letter S. And make another copy that goes over the letter S. I like this here because it then goes actually behind the shadow as well. And is this in front of the shadow? Maybe it should be. No, behind it. And then same for the letter D. Maybe D, I'll leave it here. Yeah, we can actually, of course you can. We can just go and, because this is a smart object, any color correction we do will be saved there and we can change it. I'm gonna show you, like, imagine we do these really nice curves on this left stone here. We do like this color correction. And then press OK, so we don't lose it. If you want, because this is a smart object, you can go back there, click twice here, and then you can actually change it again to something that we like more. That's why I was saying you don't need to spend too much time doing like a lot of light effects in Illustrator, because you can always come back here and do some post-production. But you know, it's like as you want there, because sometimes it's just fun just to be there and do, oops, I didn't select the layer, and do some play around with the settings of the materials as well. Select this layer, image, adjustment, and then curves. Just trying to make it nice, dark. The same thing for this one. I think this one is, because it's so bright, it definitely needs to go a little bit darker. We can also see if you select the effect of the curves here, and then while holding Alt, you can just make a copy and drag it to the next one. So they both have the same effect, which is cool. You can just open it here and then just adjust it a little bit. I didn't do in my main example, but if you feel like adding a little bit more definition, you can always blur these front ones, because they feel like if you had a camera here, and this will be like in a 3D space, the front ones will be blurred because of the f-stops of the camera. So because of the aperture of the camera lenses. So if you want to do that effect, you can always select this one and then go to filter and then blur, then Gaussian blur it. So it creates this really nice depth effect, like the camera's focus is here and these little bits are out of focus. Maybe we'll do the same thing for this one. Just gonna drag and drop the Gaussian blur, so they have the same value. And then this one, because this one is probably, because it's smaller, it's farther away from this one, so it needs to also to have a little bit of a blur on it. Let's just go blur, Gaussian blur. I never know how to say this, but it's fun. You get it. You can read it as well if my accent doesn't help to understand what I'm saying. And yeah, let's duplicate another time. This one, we don't need the curve. Maybe let's just leave the curves and then this move. And then let's move this one. Sorry, sometimes I speak, I think, and then I speak faster than I think, and then no. Yeah, sometimes I think something and then I try to speak something else. That's it. Then I get all twisted with my tongue. Just scale this up, just for the background here. And again, because it's a smart object, it keeps the resolution really nicely. And let's just apply the curves, make it this way darker, because this is just like a background texture. We don't want it to be so strong. We want it to be there to create this really nice noise, but we don't want to be like more important than the things. I'm not feeling this tone being blurred because of the M not being blurred actually, so maybe I'm gonna remove it. Maybe they are in the same space, they are still in focus. And yeah, this is almost it. Now let's just create another layer, put it on the top of everything, and then let's make this layer black. You can press D. Imagine you have like, for some reason, some different colors there on this corner here. And you're like, oh, if you press D, it goes back to black and white, which is really cool. And then if you have an empty layer and you want to fill it with one of those colors, you can press Alt and then backspace, and it fills with the color on the top. And if you press Control or Command and backspace, it fills with the color on the bottom. Imagine I have red here and I have blue here. So Alt backspace does this color, Control or Command does the other color. It's really cool, really useful when you are designing. And D resets the color to black and white. Okay, so why do I need this layer? I'm gonna apply a noise effect, noise filter. So I'm gonna go to Filter, and then Noise, and then add noise. I'm just not gonna play much with the noise here. Monochromatic. I normally use monochromatic because I already have color on my scene, but I will leave this up to you. Again, all these settings is always nice to play around. Just gonna press OK, and then on this layer I'm gonna go and select Overlay. So the overlay creates this really nice noise on this shadow part where you have where we designed those gradients, which is nice. It makes the scene a little bit too dark, so you probably need to create an adjustment layer with the curves, and then just make it a little bit brighter, like this. If we want, you can just move the curves up, but it doesn't make much of a difference. So yeah. So yeah, this is pretty much it. It's a really nice 3D and typography, very textured poster, but I really like doing it. When I was doing it, I was actually really happy with the result. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and check the other videos as well. I'm having loads of fun doing this, so I would appreciate if you like them, so then I know people are actually enjoying watching them. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. I hope you learned something cool today, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a nice day, a nice life. Cheers. Bye-bye.